Caitlin Clark, please leave this league and let it crumble. Please, this league.
Part of the game, I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do.
The voices are getting louder, the frustration is reaching a boiling point, and the unthinkable is now being discussed openly across social media platforms and sports forums everywhere. Caitlin Clark fans have had enough, and they're making it crystal clear they want her to scrap the WNBA entirely and leave the league that has failed to protect their superstar.
NBA every day because of the way they play the game, because I love the WNBA. I love the way they play the game. But we really watch it because Caitlin Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She going for a year or two. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money? Stop playing with that girl home. Look, y'all need to start doing is put them emails together with the commissioner to the referees. Don't put y'all damn hands on.
The sentiment is spreading like wildfire, with fans pleading Clark to leave the league entirely because if the WNBA will let other players attack her on the court, then she should look out for herself and move on to a league or other venture that will be proactive in that sense.
You just go play basketball somewhere else. Your fans will follow you. We will follow you wherever you go. But let this shit crumble and burn to the fucking ground, man. Let the viewership drop below 50%. Let them lose hundreds of millions of dollars again, man. Let them go back into fucking irrelevancy. Nobody giving a damn about none of these players.
Sophie Cunningham, the woman who has become known as Caitlin Clark's enforcer, has broken her silence about why she intervened, and her words reveal everything wrong with how the WNBA treats its biggest star. What we're witnessing isn't just about basketball anymore, it's about a league that has completely lost sight of what matters most.
I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so it's all good.
During what should have been a routine Tuesday night game between the Indiana Fever and Connecticut Sun, we witnessed yet another chapter in the ongoing saga of Caitlin Clark being treated like a human punching bag, while the WNBA turns a blind eye.
Oh, y'all literally been beating this girl up, pushing her on the floor, pulling her hair, poking her in the eye. You hear me? That's dangerous, bro. Because y'all mad because she pulling up threes in your face and then talking her smack like she should. Everybody else do it, so what's different? Y'all be picking and choosing who y'all want to pick y'all battles with, bro. That's just people in life.
J.C. Sheldon poked Clark in the eye, Marina Mabrey shoved her to the ground while she was still recoiling from the injury, and the referees somehow managed to assess Clark with a technical foul for what they described as unsportsmanlike conduct. Let that sink in for a moment. The victim of multiple assaults gets penalized while her attackers walk away with slaps on the wrist.
Marina Mabrey still staying in the game. What do you have to do to get ejected? Yeah, that's all of our question, buddy. None of us know. None of us know what you have to do to get ejected in the WNBA. You can pull hair. You can pull hair. You can drag. Stop. You don't even have to pull hair. You can drag someone to the ground by their hair and not get ejected. You can you can body check someone to the ground with no ball in sight. You can poke someone in the eye. None of these things will get you ejected. So at least we know these are the 3 things that you can do. Has anyone thrown a punch yet and not gotten ejected? I think that's just the last straw. Like, maybe that would get you ejected. Anything else? Fair game. Fair.
But this time, something different happened. This time, Caitlin Clark had an enforcer. Sophie Cunningham, who had watched this pattern repeat itself game after game, season after season, finally decided enough was enough. With 46 seconds left on the clock when Sheldon made a steal and headed for what should have been an easy layup, Cunningham delivered a message that resonated far beyond the confines of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. She grabbed Sheldon by the hair and dragged her to the floor, triggering an all-out brawl that would change everything.
Sophie, who's my one of my favorites now. She's become one of my favorite WNBA players. I'm gonna watch her too, like I watch Caitlin. Look at what she did. And people may not say that this was in response or whatever the case may be, but I feel like Sophie is like, you want to play? We can play. I want to play the clip of her with the girl. And your girl Sophie.
Wilson had it knocked away. Good hands by Allen. And Sheldon comes
Watch
up with the steal.
Watch it.
Going coast to coast.
What's up there?
And here's we got another break here as J.C. Sheldon goes right
the
after
blonde
Sophie
hair and the high
Cunningham.
heels fool you.
It was a hard foul, no question.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe. What happened next was unprecedented in WNBA history. Within 24 hours, Sophie Cunningham went from having fewer than 400,000 followers on TikTok to over 1.2 million, with her Instagram following growing by more than 800,000. Fans weren't just supporting her, they were celebrating her, calling her the Enforcer and buying out her jerseys until they were listed as unavailable until July 8th. This wasn't just viral fame, this was a cultural moment that revealed how desperate fans were for someone, anyone, to finally stand up for Caitlin Clark.
Are we even surprised about this? Sophie Cunningham's jersey sales just passed Caitlin Clark's after she goes viral overnight for protecting Caitlin Clark in a game where she got fined $400, which Caitlin Clark apparently is paying for. But yeah, we found our new queen at Indiana.
When Sophie Cunningham finally addressed the media, her words cut through the diplomatic nonsense that typically follows these incidents, like a knife through butter. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple years now of them just not protecting the star player of the WNBA, Cunningham said, her voice carrying the frustration of everyone who has watched this travesty unfold. At the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. Here's what makes Cunningham's statement so powerful. She's not just talking about one game or one incident. She's talking about a couple years now of systematic failure by WNBA officials to protect their most valuable asset. This is the same Caitlin Clark who has single-handedly transformed the league's attendance figures, with Fever games averaging 16,084 fans, compared to just 8,552 for non-Fever games, an 88% increase that represents the difference between relevance and obscurity.
I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player. So
that is what Sophie Cunningham was in Phoenix. It is what Marina Mabrey is. It is what, to an extent, Alyssa Thomas is. And you better believe, there are players in the Fever team that are soft. And I'll say this, where it's like, it's very rare in sports that the guard is the enforcer. Everyone's like, oh, Caitlin needs to stand up for herself. And I'm like, one, she does, but two, she's a small guard. No small guard likes physicality. No small guard hunts for physicality.
The numbers don't lie about Clark's impact on the league. Games featuring Clark averaged 1.178 million viewers on television, nearly 3 times higher than the 394,000 viewers for other WNBA games. When the Fever visited Atlanta, attendance jumped from 3,382 to 17,592. In Washington, crowds swelled from 4,988 to 20,522. But let's be honest about what we're really discussing here. This isn't about numbers, hard fouls, or competitive basketball. This is about a pattern of targeted harassment that would be unacceptable in any other professional sports league. WNBA's response to this crisis has been nothing short of disgraceful. Instead of addressing the systematic targeting of their biggest star, they've chosen to fine Sophie Cunningham for finally standing up to the bullies. Rebecca Lobo, who did extensive research watching tape of WNBA rookies for the past 27 seasons, is adamant that Caitlin Clark is being played differently, defended differently than any other rookie who's ever stepped onto a WNBA court. This isn't conjecture or opinion, this is documented fact from someone who has studied every rookie class in league history. Yet the WNBA continues to pretend this is normal basketball when everyone with eyes can see it's targeted harassment.
Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs to get better. Specifically, the consistency, not only from one game to the next, but the consistency within a game. One coach told me, we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get away with it. So I think everybody would like to see a tighter whistle and a little bit.
Here's the terrifying reality that Sophie Cunningham's emergence has revealed. Even having a legitimate enforcer might not be enough to protect Caitlin Clark from a league that seems determined to destroy its own success story. Cunningham gained nearly 1 million followers in 3 days because fans were so desperate to see someone, anyone, finally stand up for Clark. But what happens when the next incident occurs? What happens when multiple players target Clark simultaneously? Can one enforcer handle an entire league's worth of jealousy and resentment? The fan reaction to Cunningham's defense of Clark tells us everything we need to know about how desperate people are for justice in this situation. But this isn't really about Sophie Cunningham, it's about fans rallying around anyone willing to protect Caitlin Clark, because they can see what the WNBA refuses to acknowledge. The most damning evidence of the league's failures isn't in the individual incidents, it's in the pattern of escalation.
Never in a million years would I thought I would feel compelled to turn on that WNBA game that's going on at the same time and find myself watching it and yelling, "Drag her ass," as Sophie Cunningham is tackling Sheldon to the floor. Love it, dude. Oh, it's so good. So good. The WNBA has needed, and the Fever more specifically, but just in general, the WNBA has needed a Sophie Cunningham so badly. And for the record, every single team needs a Sophie Cunningham. Every team that has, their star player, their top guy, gal, whatever, you need someone on the team that when they get messed with, you put that person, whoever messed with them, on their ass. Every time. Every single team in professional.
Let's talk about the sheer stupidity of the WNBA's approach from a business perspective. Caitlin Clark has generated more interest, attendance, and revenue for women's basketball than any player in the sport's history. Her rookie season alone transformed the league's visibility, with some cities moving games to larger venues just to accommodate the demand she created. Yet instead of protecting this investment, the league has allowed her to become a target for every player with a grudge and every referee with an agenda. The stark contrast between how the league treats Clark and how they should be treating her reveals everything wrong with the WNBA's priorities. When teams can't sell tickets without her presence, when television ratings triple when she plays, when entire cities reorganize their venues to accommodate the crowds she draws, the smart business move would be to ensure her safety and success. Instead, they've turned her into a punching bag while pretending it's just competitive basketball.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't think I'm wrong, but Caitlin Clark is the most marketable American athlete that we've had in forever. Also, Sophie Cunningham is a smoke show.
The most concerning development in this entire saga isn't the fouls or the fights. It's the growing sentiment among Clark's fans that she would be better off anywhere else. The reality is that Clark's fans have options that didn't exist before her arrival. They've already proven they'll follow her anywhere, to different cities, different venues, different television networks. The question isn't whether they'll continue supporting her if she leaves the WNBA. The question is whether the WNBA can survive without the phenomenon they've worked so hard to undermine. The league seems to have forgotten that they need Clark far more than she needs them. Sophie Cunningham's emergence as Clark's protector has bought the WNBA some time, but it's also highlighted just how broken this system has become. When fans celebrate an enforcer more than they celebrate the league itself, When a player gains 1 million followers for defending a teammate rather than for making shots, when jerseys sell out because of fights rather than basketball skills, you've lost the plot entirely. The WNBA has turned its own salvation story into a cautionary tale about organizational incompetence.
Man, I like to see it, though. I'm not going to lie, man. I really like to see girls who are hungry, feisty, can play ball, supporting their teammates. You know, it makes it entertaining, man. It makes you want to watch WNBA. You're like, hey, they out there brawling. It's back and forth. Caitlin Clark out there hitting threes like it's going out of style. Her teammates got her back. Like, watching this all come together make you want to watch it a little bit, and see how they play. And I think without Caitlin and them coming to the league, I just think that I don't think it'd be as popular. I think it would have been status quo. But Caitlin Clark is making a ruckus with everybody hating on her, everybody trying to fight her, and then the fact that she plays well.
We're rapidly approaching a tipping point where even Sophie Cunningham's protection might not be enough to keep Caitlin Clark in a league that clearly doesn't deserve her. The pattern of mistreatment has only intensified since her rookie season, with incidents becoming more frequent and more brazen. The league's response has been consistently inadequate, focusing more on managing optics than addressing the fundamental problem of targeted harassment. The most telling aspect of this entire situation is how it's exposed the WNBA's complete disconnect from reality. Clark herself has remained remarkably professional throughout this ordeal, consistently taking the high road even as the league fails to protect her. But there's only so much abuse any person should be expected to tolerate, regardless of how much money they're making for other people.
So you all know about the fight. You saw it. It's the biggest sports news story of last week. That was the one thing. But then it came out a couple of days later. Sophie Cunningham got fined. I'm just curious, what do you think the fine was? What do you think the fine was? In the NBA, you hear so-and-so fined $5,000. This person fined $10,000. I've even heard $25,000. But here's what Sophie got fined. $400. Oh my God. If that's going to be the fine, rack them up. I'm going to put $2,000 to the side, $2,500 to the side, knowing there's probably a limit. A flagrant 1 is $200. A flagrant 2 is $400 in the WNBA. Rack them up. Probably takes 4 or 5 flagrants to get suspended for a game. I don't know what the rules are. But my point is, if you're going to be messing with Caitlin, I'm going to put $2,000 to the side. Me and Caitlin are going to have a little fine bucket. $2,500. This is for the season. And then I'm going to dare people to come.
The writing is on the wall, and everyone can see it except the WNBA leadership. Fans are openly discussing Clark leaving the league, media personalities are suggesting she start her own organization, and international leagues are probably salivating at the possibility of acquiring the biggest draw in women's basketball. Meanwhile, the WNBA continues to pretend that allowing their star player to be targeted game after game is somehow good for business. Sophie Cunningham has given Clark an enforcer, but even enforcers can't fix systemic problems. They can't change a culture that allows jealousy and resentment to override basic professionalism. They can't force referees to call games fairly when they seem determined to penalize the victim rather than the aggressors. And they certainly can't make a league respect and protect its most valuable asset when that league seems committed to self-destruction. The tragic irony is that the WNBA had everything they could have asked for in Caitlin Clark. A generational talent who draws massive crowds, generates unprecedented television ratings, and elevates everyone around her. Instead of building their league around this gift, they've allowed petty jealousies and incompetent officiating to create a toxic environment that threatens to drive away the very person who saved them from irrelevance.